Welcome to the original International Teacher Podcast with hosts in 4 different time zones, Greg, Darian, Kent, JP, and Hannah, bringing you episodes from around the world about the best kept secret in education. You got it, international teaching. Welcome to the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of International Teacher Podcast. I am Greg, the single app guy, and with me tonight, of course, is JP Mint. How you doing, JP?
Hello, hello. Good morning from Mexico.
Right, and we're not sure where Kent is today. I think he's student teaching or something. You know, he's back in Washington. He's probably student teaching, and I don't know where the family guy is. Darian was just on a trip this weekend, and he drove his family across the country and back, and he's not going to be with us. But this is the exciting part. We do have another guest with us. This is Lydia coming to us from Dubai. So welcome to the show, Lydia.
Yay, Lydia.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening.
Yes.
Yeah, wherever we are in the world, we have 130 different countries represented, and it doesn't matter. They're all different time zones, right? So yes, good morning, welcome, good evening, good night, whatever. So welcome to the show, Lydia. I have to say, shout out to my niece. I have a niece named Lydia. Fantastic. She spells it with a Y.
Same spelling? Oh, with a Y. Okay.
Yeah. L-Y.
I spell it the Spanish way. Yeah. With an I.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to get into this. Lydia from
Spain.
Lydia from Spain, presumably working and teaching in Dubai. Can you tell us a little bit about your international journey? Is Dubai your first country?
Well, I have a very weird story. So
I love stories.
We love stories.
Yes, we love stories. So I actually started teaching in France, and I worked for the national education system there. And after 3 years there, I was like, no, I cannot do this anymore. It's just like very underpaid. We're very overworked, and we feel like this is maybe not the safest of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fortunate enough to have one of my best friends who is now living in New Zealand, whose now husband was an international teacher at the time in Beijing. And he was like, you love to teach. You have been living abroad for a while now. You're not afraid of new adventures. Why don't you try international teaching? And it just made sense to me. I was like, sure, let's do this. So I moved to China in 2019. And I've taught in China, Vietnam. I did a 2-month contract in Bahamas, and now I'm currently in Dubai. So
wow.
It's been 2 countries involved in this story.
And are you teaching Spanish or are you teaching French?
I'm currently teaching Spanish and French, and I'm also a class coordinator in my school. So loads of work.
Oui.
So in other words, Greg, we often have sort of native English speakers or English as a first language speakers from US, Canada, but I think this might be our first Spanish teacher. From Spain.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had guests from that speak Portuguese as a mother tongue. We have German mother tongue. We've had different languages, but yes, welcome, Lydia.
Yay!
You are first of many Spanish-speaking mother
our first
tongue.
Spaniard. Ole!
Yes.
Yes.
Do you speak Spanish with a theta?
I do consider myself a citizen of the world. Yeah, of course.
Okay, and when you say
of course, she says of course.
Of course you do. Okay,
because it's the correct way.
Obviously.
Corazón.
Exactly. That's how you're supposed to say it.
All right. Well, I stand correct. Dumb question. I want to hear stories.
You're talking to 2 South American accent people here, Mexico and Honduras and Venezuela. So yeah, we're not getting converted anytime.
Pero yo hablar que un gringo con gringo español.
I mean, if I was born just a couple of 100 kilometers south, I would probably use the S instead of the Z. Because I'm from South Spain. However, I was born in Murcia, which is a very beautiful place where we apparently, to other people, we speak really bad Spanish.
Oh boy.
Which is not true. Our grammar is perfect. But we do tend to eat letters at the end of words.
Ah, yes, that's always challenging when I run into, who was it the other day? Cubans, and I think the other one, Guatemala. They kind of like chomp. They chomp up the letters, and I'm like, wait, what are you saying? Because I find that Mexicans really have, I mean, a pronunciation that is the the way it's spelled is what the way they say it. Phonetic, is that the right word? Yeah. They put the s's at the end, so I know it's plural and that kind of thing. But this is not the Spanish show.
I want to hear about Dubai and the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Bahamas. Did you teach in the Bahamas for just a little bit, you said, right?
Yeah. So I unfortunately got very sick on 2023. And after I finished my contract there, my body was telling me, you need to take some time off, go home. So I went back home to Spain with my family. And I was really fortunate that when I was feeling much, much better and I was ready to get back on the horse, I was contacted for a recruiter because they needed someone to do just 2 months, a 2-month contract in Bahamas. And they were like, would you be interested in doing a 2-month contract in the Caribbean? Yes. Terms and conditions. Yes. Would you? But we need you here next week. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ended up working in Bahamas for a couple of months, and it was just amazing. I feel so grateful because after being sick and being out of, as I call it, the circuit for a few months, and not being able to work and doing all the healing and feeling better and spending time with the family that I haven't had time to spend with my family because I was unfortunately in China during the worst years of COVID. So I hadn't seen my brother in like 2 years and things like that. But when I finally felt better and I got this opportunity, I just took it and went there. And it was a really amazing experience. And I got to work with some really amazing people in my department. And it was just amazing.
And you were teaching Spanish in Bahamas. You wouldn't think that Bahamas is, I think it was a former English territory.
Yeah. So I went to a British international school. So I was actually quite surprised because they had a strong language acquisition, for MFL, Modern Foreign Language department. They had one teacher for elementary Spanish, one teacher for French elementary, and then one for French secondary and one for Spanish secondary. So
how big was this school?
Very small, like around 300 students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they had like a really big focus on foreign languages, which as a foreign language teacher is something I really appreciate because I do think that nowadays only knowing one language it's a way of showing that maybe you don't have much interest in the world around you. And even if we all speak English, I think that's just learning another language. It's just learning new cultures, learning new ways of living, learning, I don't know, music, films, everything. It's just like such a great opportunity. So I was really impressed in that sense. And they had, like, my colleagues from that department, they were strong, like really strong teachers in their practice, and even more amazing people, like so kind, so welcoming. And when you land in a country on a Friday evening and you need to be teaching on Monday morning, having that kind of people that just welcome you and be like, okay, listen, we got you. This is what we're going to do. We're here to support you. And it was a really, really cool experience.
I don't know about you, but when I work in a school that has quality, like top quality teachers, it raises the bar for my own teaching, right? So like right now, and for the last almost 10 years I've been here, I go to school every day and I have to bring my A game, right? Because I'm surrounded by fantastic teachers. It makes me want to be a better teacher. And I just feel like I'm always struggling to keep up. Now that may not be real. That might not be the reality of it, but I feel that way. So it makes me want to better myself all the time. Sounds like you had a great experience in Bahamas.
Yeah, and also like you cannot call yourself a teacher if you're not someone who's willing to always learn. Like this thing that schools love to hear, no, oh yes, I'm a lifelong
Mhm.
learner.
Ugh,
If
how many
you're not
times have you
willing
heard
to be a
that?
lifelong learner, you are not going to be a good teacher.
Mhm.
Of course, someone who has been teaching less time than you has probably a really amazing idea for something. Of course, someone who comes from a completely different background than you is going to come and teach you something that you would have never thought of. Um, for example, I feel like I'm someone who struggles a lot with creativity, um, because in my head I'm like very square, and for some things it's really good, but sometimes I struggle with those things. And working with some people that are like really creative and they're always coming up with ideas and ways to improve you, and it's just like, how can you not, like, you need to be at their level, and you want to be at their level just because of you want to be respectful, and you just want to be there with them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And you can learn so much. I like how you brought up the
absolutely,
point. You can even learn from somebody younger than you, right? Because
absolutely.
just
Every
because
day.
they don't have the years behind them, they have that creativity. And especially
Yeah,
nowadays, they have probably a lot more tech skills than,
I learn something
AI.
every day from a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old. I mean, it's
yeah.
amazing. We're not even talking about colleagues, but I have a
Hmm.
question for you,
Mm.
and either of you can answer this. But are educators still putting lifelong learner on their resume?
Not
I
if
mean,
they're
that's
my
so.
client.
Oh, there's
I
no
just like,
way.
oh,
It's
it's
like
a
a
little bit
given, right?
cliche. It's a little bit of a
Yeah.
Yeah,
cliche.
there was a moment
Okay,
when
I
it
just
was
thought
very
I'd
trendy.
air that
The
out
word
a little bit.
passionate as well. The word passionate, it just is a bit of a, because what's better is to show evidence, like to talk
Mm.
about it rather than say it. So, if
Right.
you have evidence and stories. But Lydia, let's go back a little bit. So you grew up in Spain. Can you tell us
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about, did you always have this sort of international bug, or did you discover that in university?
I feel like I've always been someone who wasn't really where she was supposed to be. Like I felt like I was very different from the people that I had around me. So I always had like this spark to do something different, to go somewhere different, um, to learn more. And I was always like really, really pushing myself hard in like my English classes, and I
Mhm.
always wanted to learn languages and things like that. So I did an exchange program when I was in grade 10, went to France. I was there for a week. Then I had my exchange mate come to Spain for a week, and I just massively improved my French. And I became overconfident. So I thought that I could go and study in France because I speak French now.
After
Um,
1 week.
yeah, after 2 weeks, I was like, oh, yes, I'm fluent in French. I can do this. And life sometimes has these ways of telling you where you're supposed to be going. I was actually doing a IB kind of program in sciences because I wanted to be a doctor. But then I was like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. How is it possible that every time I have a language subject and every time I have an assessment, everyone's like freaking out because they cannot pass, and I don't study anything and I'm always getting top grades? Shouldn't I be
Mm.
focusing maybe on the thing that I'm actually good at instead of putting myself through torture? And by one of these chances of life, I was scrolling through the Sorbonne University webpage and I saw this degree. It was like Nordic languages. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I can start from the beginning, like zero level of Swedish in my case. So I told my parents, love you, mom, dad, but I'm moving to France. And they said no. And I said, you'll see. So I ended up moving to France. So I did my bachelor's degree in France. I studied Nordic languages. I did 1 year in Sweden. And then I finished my degree and I was like, okay, so what do I do now with my life?
Do you move to
Do I go
Sweden,
back?
maybe?
I did study 1 year in Sweden. I did
Hmm.
an Erasmus program,
Okay.
which was really cool. But I didn't know what to do with my life. Like, I had this one teaching and learning subject in Sweden that I loved. It was my favorite subject. And I had always liked like working with kids, and it just came natural to me. And one of my friends in France, she had just done her like civil servant exam, so you can become like a French educator, like an educator for the French system. And she was like, why don't you do it? Why don't you do your master's degree in teaching and then you teach? And I was like, why not? And we have been teaching ever since. And then once you move abroad and you live in your first country, then your second country, then you're like, oh, why not a third? Why not a fourth? So you just keep on rolling that ball and you keep on going places. And I would never regret that. Even though the beginnings were hard, I think this has made me such a very resilient, first of all, very resilient. But also, I know it sounds very cheesy and very cliche, but the more I live abroad and the more I visit different places, I realize that there are more things that actually bring us together and things that we do have in common as things that actually set us apart. So once I think you get into this, you get a little bit of like, you become a junkie of learning new things, going to new countries. And yeah, you want more and more and more and more.
Learning
it's like,
junkie.
I've been to 20 countries. Yeah, exactly. I need more.
Question for you. How many languages, not, and I hate it when people say how many fluent languages, are you fluent in how many languages? I like to say, how many languages are you comfortable in speaking?
Okay. So I mean, I interchange English, French, and Spanish. Like I use them at the same level. Because English is the language I work with. I did all my university studies in French, and I lived in France for 6 years, and then Spanish is my mother tongue. However, I used to feel more confident, but it's been a long time. I ended up being quite fluent in Swedish. I have studied Icelandic, Finnish,
Norwegian, Danish.
Norwegian is just very similar to Swedish. So I've been to Norway and I understand everything because they're very, very similar languages.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm just a freak of languages. I'm so nerdy. Like I lived in China and I learned a little bit of Chinese. You know, the good Chinese, the one that you use to bargain when you go shopping.
I'm not paying that.
Exactly. No, that's too expensive. No, I'm paying 5. I don't know. It's just the more languages you learn, the easier it becomes to learn new languages. I have good basis to keep on learning languages, but I have studied many languages in my life.
I have a theory in that
skill.
In my travels, my theory has always been, because other people in the U.S. are like, "Oh my God, you know languages." No, I'm not a polyglot. I mean, I've got a few, but one of my favorite things, and this is my theory, is that when I travel to a country, I always like to learn how to say please and thank you. And if I at least can say please and thank you or hello, there's different words, but if you learn that, even in a taxi cab, if you just say hello, if you just say thank you in their language, it just opens up so many bridges. And of course, the danger is that the minute you say one word in the host language, then they just start going, you know. I'm like, nope.
That's
so
why
I don't understand.
a second word, slow down. Slow down. So shui.
That's a good one. Yeah. It's just like, as you say, it's just one. You just have building blocks, and the more languages you speak, the more building blocks you have. So you can just like step from this block to this block to this block. It's just like, for example, in my head, the way that things work is just like, I see patterns. For me, it's really easy to recognize those patterns. And for example, Swedish and English, they come from the same branch in the tree. So at the end, it's really easy to find those patterns. And then if I wanted to learn German, probably would be super easy for me because I already understand many things, because I know that this works like this in this language and this works like this other way in this other language. So I'm assuming that this is how it should work. So you just keep on using those blocks, and eventually it's just really easy.
My dad's on Duolingo right now, and Duolingo is this absolutely worldwide. It's amazing app. My dad learns like 15 languages, so he's illiterate in 15 languages. He's like, one day he says,
I want to add your dad.
One
I
day I'm
want
going
to
to
add your
do
dad on my
this. Yeah,
list.
exact. Oh, he's so much
I
fun.
have a
We got to get him on
love-hate
here.
relationship with Duolingo, I have to say.
You do, huh? Have you done like the
Mm,
300 straight days or something like that? Because that's one of the catches of the
never.
language.
1600 over here. 1600 days.
Never.
What,
No,
JP? You
I
said
Six. Yeah.
1600? Lydia,
Yeah.
in
she's been on there
Spanish.
1600 days straight, and I've never been on it once.
I tried to use it to refresh my Swedish, and then at some point I was like, should I move to Norway? Look at that! Wow,
No
1632.
way. That's
I do
oh,
wow.
it
big
twice a day.
ATP. Welcome for
I
that.
do it twice
Whoa,
a day, morning and night, because I want to keep all my languages fresh.
Lydia, she's retired. She doesn't
Sometimes,
have anything else to do.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
she's living the dream.
the Spanish is always the postre. It's always the dessert. So it's like do the
Mm,
hard ones: Korean, Chinese, Turkish, and then if I still have time, German is always very easy. And then,
Oh,
but at night when I don't want to think, I do Spanish, and then it's super easy.
Lydia, do you know the word for dessert in German?
nope.
After table.
Uh-huh. After table. Yes, that's
After
what it is.
table.
After table. I love it. Nacktisch. Anyway, we share
Yeah.
German. I mean, JP and I both
Yeah.
have learned German in our lives, and it's just I love languages like you
I
do, and
want to
I
go back
celebrate
to
that.
I
And
want
I
to go back
think,
to what Lydia said. She said love hate. I from a as a language teacher, I also had this love
oh, I'm
hate. I was
sorry. Go
thinking,
ahead.
yes, I was
What's
thinking
with the
that
love hate?
what is the love hate?
Um, I love the fact that it's brought languages closer to people. Because they're like, oh, I can just pop to Duolingo and learn some Spanish, some French, some German, some whatever. However, as a language teacher, when I get in and I'm like, this has no structure, this follows no rhythm whatsoever. Why am I learning the word monkey on the first day instead of learning it is? This is driving me crazy. Um, but again, in my head, I'm someone who's like very like square, and it doesn't make sense to me. But it is fun and it keeps people engaged. And whatever keeps you engaged in the language, whatever keeps you immersed in that language, even if it's 10 minutes a day, which is probably what I say to my students, like always better to use 10 minutes every day to review your Spanish or your French courses. I don't care. And if you want to do it on Duolingo, you want to do it watching a YouTube video, I don't care. But it's going to be way more useful that if you try to study all the vocabulary, all the grammar and everything the day before the exam. Let me tell you something, you're going to fail. And it's not getting into their heads.
I find yes, it's hard to start a language on Duolingo.
Yeah.
It helps if you already have a little bit of background knowledge.
Yeah.
But I do like it for it has improved drastically since I was teaching. I would say 10 years ago I heard of it, and I went on and I went, nah, this isn't for me, and I don't know that I'd even recommend it for my students, because as you say, they introduce things that you'll never use the first 6 months of your language. Why would you learn animal vocabulary right off the bat? But they have drastically improved, and I do find it's helpful if you already know a little bit of the language.
I would like to say that this is a perfect segue because one of my little stories is, and I think I shared this a little bit before the show with you, Lydia, but since you're living in Dubai, I want to share one little sniglet with you. One little snippet of life there. I go through the airport and I can stop at this airport bar called the Hard Rock Cafe, of course, and I can go in there anytime. I know a lot of the bartenders because I spend a lot of time there. But my point is this. There are so many languages going on in Dubai. It's a hub of travel. It is got so many different cultures there. It's very metropolitan. It's just this it's this hub of travel around the world. What is it like to live there? And we can infuse that with the languages, because the first thing I think of, if you speak 4 or 5 languages, you are going to meet a lot of people in Dubai that speak all these languages outside of school. Of course, we can talk about student population at your school, but in Dubai, what's it like to live there?
What's it like to live here? I know it's going to sound weird, but to me, it feels a lot like living in China. Bear with me. I had this feeling when I moved to China that I was home. After living in France, where I felt like it was not the most welcoming country. Sweden was nice, but I also felt like I wasn't part of the mix of cultures there. When I moved to China, I felt home, because they were very welcoming. They were like very happy to see foreigners moving to the country, especially at that time. They were always like super excited to see you hopping on a cab or something like that. Oh, where are you from? And you would say, Shibanya, Spain. Oh, Spain, Real Madrid, Barcelona. And they would just like be super excited. And I think Dubai feels a little bit in the same, in that same feeling, like, because I think it's 80-90% of people who live here are expats, right? So you feel like you are home because you're all home away from home. So you're all going through the same hardships. You all miss your families. You all have had to leave your home country for reasons X, Y, Z. And in that sense, you feel home because you know that you are all in the same, as we say, in the same boat, right? Also, one of the things that I love about Dubai, which was the same in China, is that everything is super convenient. Almost too convenient, to the point to like, I don't go to a supermarket. Why would I? I can just order everything on an app. I need gas for my car. Why would I go to the gas station? I can just order gas on an app, and they will come and put gas in my car.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've never seen that
It's like,
before.
oh yeah. You see these little trucks going around. It's like, oh, I'm out of gas. Okay, let's
No
do this.
kidding. I haven't heard that either. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Just an example.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
There's an app for
convenient.
that.
exactly. There's an app for everything. Literally anything and everything. There's an app for. So in that sense, it's just like super convenient. Cooking. Why would you cook when you can order food and it's actually cheaper than going to the supermarket and doing your own cooking? Um, so in that sense, I love living in Dubai. It's super convenient. Super convenient for
Do you
anything.
ever leave
You
your
need a massage.
apartment? Everything's
I do
getting
because I have
delivered.
a dog. I
Ah,
do because I have
okay.
a dog. I have a foster dog right now, and we go out for walks. Again, I in the neighborhood where I live, I just have a dog park like 5 minutes away from home. And you go there and you talk to people, and everyone is always like happy to listen to your story, to share. Again, we're all in the same thing. We're all out of our own countries. We're all looking for that human connection, right? And it just feels easy. It's not easy when you get here because and this is again same as China, like getting in, like getting the job and then getting all of your documents approved and getting your residence permit and all of those things, it takes a while. And while you don't have it, there's many things that you cannot do, like you cannot rent an apartment until you have your Emirates ID. You cannot open your electricity bill account until you have your Emirates ID. You cannot open a bank account until you have your Emirates ID. So for the first month and a half, you're kind of in limbo, trying to figure things out as someone who's not yet a resident. But once you go through that, you're in your apartment, you start having like your own routine and finding the things that you like to do, and you start making friends. It's a place where it's very convenient to live. Yeah.
And when you first landed, did your school help you with finding an apartment or did they provide one? How did that work?
Well, first of all, my school was amazing. They had hired this service called Marhaba service, and a person came literally to pick me up from my airplane door to take me through security, through
Wow.
immigration. And there were some SLT people waiting for some of us who were arriving all at the same time to welcome us and take us to our accommodations. So in my case, as a first year teacher, my first year here,
First year in Dubai.
they offer, yes, they offer school accommodation. However, since I have a dog who hasn't been able to make it to Dubai yet, I didn't want to live in the accommodation because they don't allow pets, which I think it will eventually change because people are increasingly having more and more pets, like more people have dogs and cats, which is also part of how our society is changing, right? Um, but they gave me no problem into changing that school housing for an allowance. So I do have a housing allowance, and I rented the apartment where I wanted, how I wanted, and that was easy. The
Now,
problem is
but
that
did you have real estate agents showing you, or did you just go hit the pavement? I mean, how do you find the apartment?
so when I got here, I had an Airbnb for a couple of months because I knew I couldn't rent until I had my Emirates ID, which is something that I was warned. They were like, "You need to know that." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine. I will find my own way." I'm someone who tends to find her own way anyway. So, but I asked if they had like any recommendations for agents. They did not, but they point me towards like, this is a very safe web page. These are the things that you need to look for to make sure that you don't have like there are no frauds and everything. And one of the things that my school has also done really, really well is that they have this webpage for all new staff, which has like all the information you need to know. Beware of fraud. This is how you validate your diplomas. This is about life in Dubai. This is about school. This is about how we work. So before arriving into Dubai, I already had loads of information that helped me make good choices, either before I came here or once I was already here.
That's
That
so
were more,
important. We're always talking
yeah.
about the orientation and onboarding
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
process. And
Yeah.
when a school does that right, you just start the year off so well. And
Yes.
it also helps with longevity. Like people stay, they'll renew
Mm.
contracts because they'll feel that if that initial arrival is so safe and welcoming, it
Mm.
pays dividends in the long run.
Yeah. And this is not my first rodeo, right? This is what I always say. This is not my first rodeo. This is not the first country I'm moving to. But I still felt like I was very well taken care of in that sense. And I was thinking, imagine this is the first time you go into international teaching and you have this beautiful web page created, tailor made for you as a new teacher who's coming to this new school with everything from the weather that is going to be in Dubai during the entire year to the things you should pack to things you might not find here to it's like everything you could think of, it was already there, and it was
Wow.
made by all the teachers. They would always like give you. They were the ones who were feeding the information to this webpage, besides HR, of course, and SOT. Um, so when you come here and you have all of this help already set up for you, it does lift a weight off your shoulders. Even the fact that they just come to pick you up at the airport the first time you arrive. I mean, you arrive after a long flight. In my case, it wasn't that long because Madrid, Dubai is just like a 6-7 hour flight, which is short, right?
Yeah, in
And
international
for some of us,
terms.
it feels very
Yeah.
short. But imagine you come, I don't know, from the US, from Australia, you come from a super long flight, you're in a new country that you've never set foot in before, probably. You need to find all your luggage. You need to find a way to get to your accommodation that you don't even know where it is. You don't have money in the currency. You don't have a SIM card. You don't have, and they were already waiting for us there to help us setting up a SIM card if we hadn't done it already, to help us take us to our accommodation, to help us with luggage. Everything was already set up.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah,
So
even though
let's
you've
talk
been to other
about.
countries and done traveling, it's a really a big feather in the cap of the school and whoever organized that to have their
Yeah.
onboarding like that. You see a familiar face, you see a name from the school, they're holding up a sign or whatever they're doing, they're corralling you through, they're holding your hand because you get to just settle in, not worry, and then they want you to focus on school after you have yourself settled. Because how can anybody go to
Yes.
school and teach if they're worried about not having water at their apartment that they were just landed in, right? And I've seen, and you'll see lots of that around the world in different schools, but the top schools are the ones thinking about onboarding. That's an opinion I have, and I think JP shares. But those are the things that, even as a seasoned traveler, those are the little delicate details that that school puts forth will keep you there if you have a
Yeah.
good start.
Yes.
I'm sorry, JP, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you talked about landing with a few people. So let's talk about your cohort. That's the sort of incoming. Did you have a wide range of people and a wide range of nationalities, or was it a small cohort, like 2 or 3 of you this coming
No,
year?
it's a really big school.
Mm.
We're talking about over 3,400 students.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's a city. I've lived in a city
Yeah.
that big.
Yeah. My village back in Spain is not that big. I can tell you that much. We're like 1,000 people on our best day.
Wow.
So it is a huge school, and also it's a popular school, so numbers keep on increasing. So we had turnover, and then of course we had more people because we needed to hire more people because we have more students. So we were a pretty big cohort, but the good thing is what it was quite heterogeneous in the sense that we had people who were seasoned international teachers, people who were, like, for example, done with life in the US and they could not live anymore there and they just wanted to find something different. So we had a little bit of everything. You could tell that I was seasoned because I arrived just with one piece of luggage and
Whoa.
and my stuff, and I
My
was like,
kind of
yeah, I'm
traveler.
good.
Yep.
And then you see all these people like arriving with 5 suitcases full of stuff, and they were like, that's it, that's all you need. I was like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll buy everything I need here, I guess. I'm just not gonna be traveling with this
Test the
stuff.
waters out, and then as you need more things, once you're there,
Exactly.
you get you
Yeah.
get to feel for it, and then you can sort of
Yeah.
either go back home and bring it with you, or buy it while you're there. And you bring a whole bunch of stuff. You never know if you're going to need it. Although if you have
Yeah.
rugs, like somebody else I know
I'm
has
gonna need
rugs
it.
with her all the time.
I'm gonna need that juicer that I really like. It's handheld. I'm gonna need everything.
All right, let's take a moment for a little commercial about how to get in touch with us. You can, of course, find all 4 of us at the itpexpat.com. That's www.itpexpat.com.
Or you could also find us at email at internationalteacherpodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Or if you're into Facebook, we have a Facebook group at www.facebook.com/groups/ITPexpat, where you can find all kinds of inside information about ITP Expat.
You can also find us on Instagram at International Teacher Podcast at our handle.
All right, and thank you, listeners. We have over 100 countries represented by our listeners, and though we're not monetized, we are here for you, and we would like to thank all of you for listening. So let's get back to the show.
So Lydia, tell us a little bit about your school. 3,000 K to 12. If you're not comfortable with sharing the name, that's okay. But if you can just sort of describe the staff, the students, a little bit about the program, the curriculum.
So my school is an American international school, so we have both American curriculum and DP, only DP.
IB, okay.
Yes, and so I'm actually teaching both curriculums. I have one Spanish US curriculum class, and then one French US curriculum class, and then I have ab initio classes, which is my absolute favorite, I have to say.
Ab initio, Greg, do you know that's the IB for beginner, like absolute beginner, never have taken the language before?
Which is loads of fun, but students fail to recognize that you need to have a really good level of the language in 18 months. And at the beginning, they're happy, but then once you put yourself into overdrive, they are not that happy about that decision. But
because these are grade 11 students, right? These are 16,
yes.
17-year-old students that have never picked up the language. I remember also really enjoying ab initio because you're getting sort of that academic star. They're the IB student who's very diligent about doing the work, but at the same time, as you say, they're kind of coasting at the beginning. They're like, oh, this is such a breeze.
Yeah.
But then they forget that in 18 months you're going to be starting
I
to
can't
have
even
those
imagine what kind of
exams.
pressure that is. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and for IB students who are already managing all of these things at the same time, right? Like the other 5 subjects plus the core subjects like theory of knowledge and their extended essay research paper and their class, and it's a lot. It's a lot, but I do think that then it prepares them really well for university. So it's a really big school, as I said. Like I think we have over 1,200 students just in high school.
Wow.
So it is a lot of students. And what I do love about our school is that it's very international in the sense that we have students literally from every corner of the world. Many third culture kids, mom's from here, dad's from there, and we now live in Dubai, which brings such a beautiful richness into the classrooms. And I just think it's lovely because they always come with things that you would have never expected. And when you're asking questions about, oh, so how do you do this in your culture? They always have something interesting to tell you and things you would have never thought of. It is a very well-established school. It's been in Dubai for over 25 years. And I am loving it so far.
And the
my
staff are
SLT
equally international?
Yes, staff is equally international. Of course, in international teaching, unfortunately, they always love to have people who come from English-speaking countries, which I find very annoying. And let me elaborate.
You should.
So I, for example, I don't have a PGCE, right? Or I don't have an American qualification or an English or New Zealand or a Canada qualification to be a teacher. But I do hold a master's degree in teaching and learning. But according to some countries, my degree is worth less than a PGCE or something equivalent because it was not done in an English-speaking country. And I'm like, why does this make it worse or less worthy? I have an MA in teaching.
No, preaching to the choir, absolutely.
Yep,
because
can't explain that one. No,
because
all I can
the
realize.
big 5, New Zealand, Australia, UK, Canada, and the US.
In the US.
Why are those degrees, those teaching degrees that can be sometimes just 1 year? How do they have more weight than a master's that can be sometimes 2 to 3 years of studying how to be a teacher?
Yeah, it is very frustrating. It's just like, oh, but how can you? It's literally an MA in teaching. Why is this not okay? Why is this less?
But you got it accepted. You Dubai, the UAE government. Thank you. Hello.
Yes. Thank you. Very grateful.
Thank you. Shukran jazilan. They accepted you into the country, said this is an equivalent, or we are happy with this, and you're off and teaching. Fantastic.
Yes. I mean, so far has been working in all the countries I've lived. However, it does not work in my own country.
Oh boy.
So
because it's French.
Exactly. European Union what? I'm a Spanish person with a Spanish passport who has been teaching for 10 years now and cannot teach in her own country. Yay.
Maybe that's a good thing. It keeps you out traveling the world, and then when you retire, you come home and live with, and I don't know what the answer is. There is no answer.
Do they have
it's
sheep?
Just keep the struggle.
Goats? Lydia, do you foresee yourself ever returning home and wanting to teach in Spain, or do you think this is the career you've chosen and it's just going to be one country after the next?
Right now, I'm a little bit at a weird moment in the sense that I was last year in Spain and I did see that it was not really an option for me because of my background, because I have been living abroad for so long that I don't feel it's like Spain doesn't feel home. It is home, but it's not.
You're a
I don't
foreigner
know.
in your
Sorry,
own
do
home.
you ever see yourself going back to Spain to teach, or do you think this is it? You're going to be an international teacher for your career?
I think most probably I will be an international teacher for the rest of my active life
Yes. Yes.
days.
Greg's
Woo!
happy.
I don't really see
Yes.
myself going back home, just because the international school scene in Spain, in my opinion, again, my opinion and just mine, it's not that great. Contracts are not that good. It would be really hard to find a place where I would feel comfortable. And then I don't think I would like to live in Madrid or Barcelona or something like that, because such big cities, if I want to go back home, I would go back to my hometown where I feel comfortable. It's like a smaller city. And at some point, I would have loved, of course, to bring back all of these things I've been learning through my entire life, and hopefully put them to work, not just for me, but for people I know, and for others, teachers and students and such. But as of nowadays, I don't see that happening. What I do see myself is probably staying, and knock on wood, for a long time here.
Nice.
As I explained before, I've lived in many countries in the last 12 years. I'm done with moving. I cannot put on one more cardboard box to move. I'm done.
Even
I
with
can't
just
take
the
it.
one suitcase coming in, you don't feel
Yeah.
like you're going to be leaving anytime soon.
No, and no, because I feel it's been what, 4 months now I've been here, and I'm really happy at the school I am right now. I have a full SLT composed by women
Whoa.
power, which is not
SLT,
something
Greg, for
exact.
our listeners, SLT,
Go ahead.
you,
SLT is.
senior leadership team,
Got
or
it.
school leadership team.
So our
Great.
CEO is a strong, powerful woman who's from Canada. My high
Yay!
school principal is another powerful woman from the US. Assistant principal, one of them, she's from Syria. The other one is from
Ooh,
France.
wow.
The head
4
of teaching and
nationalities.
learning, yes, the head of teaching and learning whole white school is another woman. Um, so you can tell, and I'm so sorry if this is probably a hot take or something, but you can tell that things are done differently, with more empathy, with more care, which is something I haven't seen in my years, and it's refreshing. It's honestly so refreshing.
Very nice.
Yes. So one of the things that, for example, I have always found really hard, and something that I have always struggled with, is how I have seen all of these people, men, being made heads of school just because they fit a certain mold, in the sense like they're white males, they're cis men, they're in their mid 40s to 50s, and they are the profile to be a head of school. But are they really good to be head of schools? Because I've been in so many schools where you had other people, not just women, but other people, but especially women, because this is a really women-centered profession. Let's not forget, most of the teachers are women. And most of these women are super qualified. They're overly qualified, and they are not in SLT positions. Why? Why is that? And I've been to schools where I have met women who had experience in leadership, who had like PhDs and all of these amazing credentials, but they were not the ones who were running the place. It was just some person that had contact with some other person, and they were the head of school.
And they look
And
good in a tie.
exactly. And you can tell when things are being done with someone who knows what they're doing, and someone who's in that position because they have worked to be in that position, versus someone who's just there because someone put them there. And
Well, you're preaching to the choir, but I do try and keep my very opinionated opinions to
yeah,
myself about this. But it is one of the things that drove me out
yeah,
of the leadership, the leadership track is seeing that constant male, as you say, usually white, usually cisgender, getting promoted over very qualified women that I was working with, and it was getting frustrating, and I think I wasn't the one to change it. So it sounds great, especially when we think, dare I say, in a male-dominated society like the UAE, where women are in charge of one of the top schools in Dubai. It's hopefully that leads to more. Hopefully that opens the door, and women like yourself who are still in the international circuit are being encouraged to take up the baton to lead schools.
Yeah, and also because this is something we have been discussing a lot in the last few years, right? Why representation matters. And I feel represented by a woman who is leading the school who's leading the school with heart, with passion, with empathy. That also she's a leader and she has to make decisions that not everyone likes, and she has to make decisions that sometimes are ugly. But she's still there to receive us if we need to talk to her, to be empathetic to situations that sometimes are not very nice and sometimes are ugly, because we're in a business that works with human, and humans sometimes are messy, and humans sometimes are ugly, not in their physical ways but in the way that they behave, and especially teenagers, where sometimes they act up, and you need someone who's willing to make those decisions, which is not easy. But if you see someone that looks like you, that is being the leader of this huge school, and you say, if she can do it, I can also do it, if I want to do it, of course.
And think about all those girls that are in the school, like all the girls,
absolutely.
all the girl students are seeing leaders that are successful, and that is inspirational for all the students to see representation as well. So fantastic.
I think it's very fortunate that you have a strong leadership team that is represented by women. And some of my favorite leaders in the past have been strong women that I still keep in touch with, right? I just still have to keep in touch with them because you learn so much. My point, I guess my one caveat for me is that I like strong leaders, men or women, that are that were in the teaching field before. They didn't just jump into admin, right? And they're not just business people. They need to have business sense. They need to have leadership. But I really appreciate any of the leaders that have spent time in the classroom. That's where I draw the line. I always feel fortunate and refreshed if I go and work where where the elementary principal is a female, or if the head of school is female. I thrive on that, and I just hope that they have teaching experience, because otherwise they're gonna, for me, my opinion is they're just gonna be like the men that are all in the up in the leadership position that are more businesslike and can't relate to us, right? But
that's the biggest
I
thing
love
is
that.
if they are teachers first, they're going to have empathy towards their teachers on staff,
and they'll be in the classroom, right? Right?
And personable. They want, presumably when you become a teacher, you like kids. So if you're a leader that was a former teacher, you still like kids. It still carries on into the leadership. And I've worked with leaders where you can tell they don't like kids. It's like, why? How did you become a leader of a school if you didn't like kids and you don't want to see, that the hand-drawn picture of you and hang it up in your office? It just boggles the mind.
Well, the best leaders go in the classrooms, in my opinion.
Exactly.
The best leaders, you see their face. They're not hiding in an office. Right now, our leadership, the APs and the principal, they are in classrooms helping out. They're doing things. Then they meet after school hours to do their administrative things and have their meetings. But you see them all over the place in the school. I love that more than anything. It's such a treat, right?
Yeah. And also it keeps you on your toes, because you know that they can come up at any point. So you know that you need to deliver good quality.
Doors open. You come anytime you want. Don't have to make an appointment.
Exactly. My door is always open. You want to come in? Perfect. I hope you enjoy whatever we're doing today.
Yeah.
It can
course,
look
I
like
respect-
anything and everything.
I used to
I-
just keep teaching, and my high school principal or my head of school would just walk in, and I just got so used to it. I would keep teaching, and then I realized, oh wait, what if they had actually a message for me? So then I stop, I go, are you okay? No, just observing. Okay. Or they would
Yeah,
say,
just
yeah,
connect with
actually I
them.
want to hand you this. But it became the norm, and it's so gratifying as a teacher to know they take interest in our classes and they want to see what the kids are doing.
And it also takes a lot of pressure off you, because you don't play all of your cards to that one formal observation that you might have one day when you're like super stressed out, and you need to have this previous meeting and then the class and then the meeting after and everything. If you're used to them dropping in regularly, you are used to them being in your classroom. Also, they come and they know what you're doing, so maybe that formal, super formal observation is not needed anymore, because they already know what you're doing. They already know if you have a good relationship with your students. They already know if you have good routines put in place. And again, you get used to them being around you, coming into your classroom, so you don't feel like you're having a heart attack every time that someone from admins decides to drop into your classroom.
Yeah.
What a strange bunch. I could never be an admin. I mean, I've come close. I've been in the inner circle at a smaller school and in charge of a lot of things, but I would never be a principal. I would, like my grandfather was. No way. I don't know if you guys, I know JP has experience as an admin, but boy, I respect admin, especially elementary schools. Yeah. Whoa. Something I would never do.
Yeah. I think
Lydia,
it's a very difficult job.
I am aware that, this hour has passed so quickly. At this point, we'd like to ask you, so in that one suitcase that you brought to Dubai, were there 3 things from home that just make Dubai home for you? Is there 3 things you need to take with you?
Not really. Okay, let me make sense of this. I'm not your typical Spaniard who would always travel with a bunch of jamón in her suitcase.
Jamón.
Because it's just like it's been so long. When I get home, I enjoy my jamón and that's it. I just have it when I'm home. But what I always try to get is really comfy PJs.
Okay.
That makes me feel like home. And probably some like snacks from home. If I could, I would have put my dog in my suitcase, but that was unfortunately not an option. And that's probably the very last thing that makes me feel like home. It's just my pup, my Chinese dog.
From China. And so he is still in Spain?
Yeah, he is currently living his prince life in Spain with my parents, living in the Spanish countryside.
Ooh.
And enjoying loads of pets and loads of garden time.
Love it.
Yeah.
Our other question is, in all your travels, can you share one of your run-ins with the law? Maybe a police story, a customs story, something that won't get you in trouble, but share something that happened.
So, when I got to Dubai, I had something in my suitcase that was actually a medical device, but they do not consider it a medical device here. So the first thing that happened to me when I got to Dubai was that I was actually hauled up by the customs police for like 30 minutes, where I had to explain to them what this device was, and they took it away from me.
Oh no.
So I was like, okay, so I just go to this country. I have already been detained by the police. I don't know how this is gonna work. But yeah. Usually I'm someone who's really chill. I don't drink alcohol. I do not party. I'm more of a couch potato kind of person. I love reading, watching TV.
Well, you do bring in medical
friends.
devices into countries that are not allowed.
Yeah, I know, but some of us are born weirdly and need our medical devices. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, I was mortified. So when I came out through customs and the school team was coming to pick me up, I was like, perfect, all good, perfect.
Because they won't know.
Over it.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Oh yeah, smooth. So yeah, but it's something I will never forget. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, those stories of
Fantastic.
customs in the airport there, it's a little scary. There's so many people going in and through that airport to
Yeah.
be pulled aside. Like, you need to come with me over here, lady. Come here.
As long
We
as
got
you're
to
not
talk to
Yeah.
seeing
you.
any of the like white glove snapping
No,
on.
no, no. But
That's-
I had a similar thing happen to me in China. So during COVID, of course, I didn't go home for 2 years. I didn't go to Spain for 2 years. And at some point, my parents were like, we're just going to send you a little care package with, some
oh.
jamón, some, pork meats, and a couple of tokens from home. So you think of us. And I was like, yeah, of course. So my package goes to China, rides into customs, and they call me. And I was like, oh, okay. So what's wrong? I don't think there's anything weird there, like no medication, because I do have a couple of chronic illnesses that I need to manage, but usually bring my own medication. Everything is fine. And I was like, this time there's no medication, and they called me and they were like, oh, you know that meat is not allowed to enter the country. And I was like,
Yeah.
um. Oh, I didn't know. It's not like my parents had already sent me like 3 or 4 packages full of jamon and wet and whatever, and sirloin and loads of cured meats. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this. Oh, too bad. Can I sign and take this with me? And they were like, no, we're going to destroy it. So I saw like, I don't know how many euros worth of meat getting put into a bag that they would later destroy. And I was like,
No, they took it
I
home
really
and
hope,
they ate it, is
they
what
were
they
I
did.
bringing
They
that to
really
took
the
it.
break
hope
room.
at
They're
least
like
you ate it
Spanish
and
meats.
Yeah.
and someone got something out of it, because I was like, no, not my jamon. Why would you do this?
Not the jamon, no.
No, no. Oh my God, it was awful, because you would see the lady looking at me and putting the things into the bag, like,
Wow.
this is going to
Tears
be destroyed. I
rolling
was like,
down your face.
no, it's
Lydia,
not my jamon.
can you tell us, is there a place that people can reach out to you? Do you have a shareable Instagram or LinkedIn link that if, let's say, a Spanish teacher, French teachers out there are listening to this and they're saying, hey, how do I do what Lydia's doing? Can they reach out to you, or would you prefer they reach out to you through our Gmail?
If they want to reach out through your Gmail, that's fine. They can find me on LinkedIn, because for obvious reasons, as a teacher, I keep my Instagram private, because we need to be very aware of safeguarding.
Yes.
But if they want to reach out to me through LinkedIn, I'm more than happy to answer any
Okay.
questions.
So with your permission, then we'll put that in the show notes and we'll put
Absolutely.
your LinkedIn. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts for the listeners out there that haven't quite jumped on the international teacher bandwagon? What could you say for them?
To do it, to jump. Jump. There's always water in the swimming pool once you jump. Maybe not as much as you thought, but there's always water. And probably this is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. It's been eye-opening on so many levels, professional, personal. I've been able to meet all of these amazing people, amazing professionals, but amazing people themselves. It creates a sense of community, of family, away from your blood-related family. And it has given me the opportunity to explore the world, to also bring my family explore the world with me, because I have a couple of very adventurous parents who have followed me around the world and who continue to follow me around the world, and who I could have not done this. Like, my parents are amazing, and being able to also share my life and my experience around the world with them has been probably one of the most rewarding things. My dad, for example, would have never thought that he would know China and Suzhou, the city where I used to live, like the back of his hand. And my mom would have never thought that she would be eating sushi in Japan. But there she is. So yeah. By the way, shout out to my mom, who wrote a blog about her experience in China and then her experience in Vietnam.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Can we share that on the show notes?
Absolutely. It's in Spanish, though.
En español, of course, por
en
supuesto.
español. But it was actually really fun to see the world through her lens.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
So do it. Don't think about
Greg,
it. Do
the
it.
app guy. Hey, are you going to plug your app in this episode? We haven't talked about it. Maybe on the
I could definitely, Lydia,
outro.
if you want. You teach a lot of students, right? And you have lots of
Yep.
staff at your school. I have like 650 students, so I decided to make an app for learning names. So it's called What's That,
Oh.
and then what's that student's name? It's like $3 on the Apple Store, and I can't sell it in France for some reason, but on the App Store, but I can sell it everywhere else. It's those darn
Okay.
French, right?
The
But
French.
anyway, no, it's just it was an exercise with AI and working on things. I needed it for myself, and I use it every day. I think JP is doing it with their dog names around the area, but it's a great app, and that's one plug for me. I don't usually plug things on the show unless somebody else brings it up, but yeah, I love it, and I can't go without it as a teacher. So you can load up your own kids, you can load up a big list of kids, you can take pictures with it, et cetera, et cetera.
And the data just stays on the phone.
It's 2 days old. Everything is data on the phone. There's no worry about security. So it's not linked to the internet or anything. It's a one-time only. Buy it for $3. Boom, you're done. Or whatever currency you're doing.
What student? We should be clear about the name. What student?
Yes.
With a question mark.
Yeah, the whole name is like what's.
That's very useful.
Yeah, what's that student's name is like the real name, but you'll find on the App Store is What's That, right?
Okay,
so,
I'm going to look it up right away.
Or what student? Yeah. And my last, I can't keep track. I've changed the name so many times, right? Here we go. I do want to say a few last words, and my last words are, yes, thank you for the women that are in the leadership positions overseas. It is applaudable you brought it up, and it's a welcome for me to hear that, for us as listeners to hear that you have great leadership, especially women that are there for you. And we talked a little bit about onboarding. I think that's great. It sounds like Dubai is one of those great places to go and teach. If you ever go and travel and teach in China, don't bring your Spanish jamón. That's what I learned from this whole thing. And I love talking with you. It's been great talking with you and to hear about all your language background and stuff like that. It's fascinating. And you live a life that a lot of us love to hear about. So thank you for coming on. I hope you do come back onto our show. And
thank you so
JP,
much for giving me this platform.
You're welcome. No, thank you for our listeners to be able to listen to your stories.
So this has been another episode of the International Teacher Podcast. My name is Jacqueline from JP Mint Consulting, and I want to thank our guest Lydia today, and I want to thank Greg, the app guy, and I think we just want to remember one suitcase could cut it. You heard it here today. One suitcase could make the trip. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you next time.